everyone. I did want to quickly hop up on here and let you know that my audio in this episode is not the best. I tried to fix it as best as I could during editing. We didn't want to refilm this episode, but I did want to let you know that my audio is a little bit rough compared to Hannah's audio, which is a lot more clear and crisp. Did want to just let you know that before we hopped in. Now that announcement is over, we will go back to your scheduled programming. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the AHA podcast. I'm your host, Anastasia.
And I'm your other host, Hannah.
And today, I always forget and get where I have no idea how the fuck to start these episodes, which is annoying because I'm trying to have a good continuity and have every episode be the same opening. But no, you got two crackheads as hosts.
Continuity is a myth.
It doesn't exist. Continuity
is a myth. Yep.
But the problem is you have two crackheads who don't know what the fuck they're doing and no producer to help us. So it's just like a mess every time.
Also, we don't have an audience yet. So we don't have people actually being like, shut the fuck up and get to the point where we have the pressure of an actual audience to be like, hey, I don't really give a fuck about your opinion on this. Just talk about this. And you're like, sounds good. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we also literally just spent an hour, bitch, talking about random shit before we even started recording.
But I told you that's why, because I need a prep call so I know what should I have to say. Yeah. But one day we'll have it. One day this will be a priority where it's we're not
don't say that. Don't say that out loud.
Well, recording no, that would be a dream. Is like we go to a thing and it's like we only come here to record the podcast. But again, when it's a priority where it's like, oh wow, this is making something money or whatever, we can come only focus on the podcast, make actual notes of like, this is what we're gonna talk about, and not let us go
all over the fucking
cut, stops recording, goes, okay, shut the fuck up. We don't need to know about how your school is made. We don't need to hear about the Aladdin live action. This is not what we're talking about. Because I've been listening back, and then I'm like, they're not bad. I'm going to say it's not bad, but I've been listening back, and I'm like, I forgot about that. Oh, fucking sidetrack shit. Yeah.
So today we are going to be diving into House of the Dragon is what our main topic is going to be today. Since season 2 is filming currently in Spain, super exciting. I've been keeping up and I'm so excited for season 2. We'll get into that a little later, but like we usually do, we're gonna hop into movie show news and all that kind of jazz. So do we want to dive in to some news first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we usually do. I don't know what else we're going to dive into, so. Ta-dam! Ta-dam! You have to do the end. Ta-dam!
And then
so that's the biggest thing that's happened, because obviously, if you guys are following along with us, you know that we were on a little break, and this is when we smash cut to a montage of random shit that we've been up to in the past 2 weeks that have kept us from, recording a podcast.
Mine's not that fun. You were actually doing shit. I was
trying to flash my boobs in DC, and get Congress to listen to me and, random shit like that. I mean, but there was also times I was just laying on the couch watching TV, but, but no, I was really so busy and but in the past 2 weeks, we had Netflix's big, convention conference. So we have a lot of, exciting new shows coming out. We got more information on shows that we already knew were coming out. For instance, the big thing of the new cast member of season 5 of Stranger Things.
Which some people, okay, I've seen speculation on who she's supposed to, hold on, let me pull her up. I forget her name.
Linda Hamilton, I want to say.
Thank you so much. I think it is her. Also not...
Exterminator!
Oh, you can't see.
Let me do a terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. I like that he was the one that set her up, to do her little, talk, little, hey, guys.
But I think there's I don't think, yeah, at the event there was no release date, which sucks because um, I don't want to have to wait too long. But then also like I would rather wait a long time. You know what I mean? For like the because y'all final season of this show, which is like crazy to me. Um, but I'd rather like wait a long time to have like a good final season and where the Duffers and everybody involved are like proud of that final season. So I'll wait, but I'm like, please, please just give me like a year, 2026 or whatever. I don't just tell me like a ballpark. Um,
I know, cause like with Wicked, which is not, sorry, this is not a part of Tarum. Like Wicked, we just got like the
mhm.
dates that they moved it up for part two, and it's like they're giving me years. You can give me some random like what year it's gonna be released at. But I mean, obviously with the writer's strike and all that stuff, and then more unions and negotiations, you were kind of like in a what's gonna happen. But also, at least like whatever comes to the writer's strike, like if that puts more time,
Mhm.
like Netflix, that is not a show that they're not going to be like,
No.
bye, like we're
Mm.
not doing this anymore. And what's crazy is like after they reconfigured with like the viewership or whatever that they did, that like, oh, Wednesday's actually the most watched
That
like show on
over Stranger
Netflix.
Things.
Stranger Things 4, and I think after that it'd probably be like, we're fucking making this even better. We're gonna, but I think it will be the most watched because like everybody is going to be tuning in to figure out how it's going to end, like what's going to happen. And then, no offense, I think for a little bit, I think then everyone will live in the nostalgia of like
Oh
binging it
yeah.
again and watching it. And
Girl, I
it's
do that
crazy to think we've
now.
been with it. Well, yeah, but that's you. No, I'm just kidding. But it's crazy to think how long we've been with that show. Like I just think about like me being in high school, and again, I'm not going to reveal my age, but even though it's out in the world, but like to think like I remember where I was watching the pilot episode, and then to think how far we've come and like how much we've seen these characters and just seeing them literally grow up on screen. I think also it's kind of gives you like Harry Potter vibes of like, oh my gosh, like we've been with them a long time, we've seen them do so much outside of this, we've seen the actors like do a lot and grow up, that you're like, holy shit, like this is the end.
Which
So,
is
and
like
it better be fucking good. It better not Game of Thrones this shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's some high ass expectations that they're like,
also, you know what I don't want to happen, which people have said, where they were like, what if like on the last episode, like the last 5 minutes of the final episode ever is where like it was all like a D&D game. And I was like, fuck no. I'm like,
no,
they would not do that. I'm like, let me tell you, I took the Duffer Brothers Masterclass, and these guys are. Let me flex real quick. Um, I'm like, no, please. I'm like, I don't think they would ever do that because I feel like the Duffers and all of their writers are just more creative than that. Because I feel like sometimes when shows or movies do that, it's like it's a lazy cop out in my opinion to have it be like that, or like a whole dream sequence. I fucking hate the dream sequence thing. I think it's so stupid. It's lazy. You're not having a good payout. I don't understand why you're just wasting everybody's fucking time with that. But no, I'm excited for season 5. But what I was saying before with her, with that new casting, people are trying to figure out who she's gonna play. So some people have said like, oh, what if she's like Dr. Brenner's replacement and is like a scientist looking for Elle, or like Steve's mom, or like some other characters like mom that will be brought in. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do with her character. They better like I just don't like when I'm still bitter about Eddie Munson dying. I know everyone's like over it, but I'm not. I love that character so much, and I wanted him to have that arc. But then also, I get why they did what. I get it. It was great, beautifully written. I think and it was sad. I was like, no. I'm like, he was so good, but I just don't want them to do that again to me, especially in the final fucking season, bitch. I'm like, come on now. But I guess they could get away with it because it's the final season, where they're like, we're just gonna
they're gonna have
kill
to
all these
kill
people
some
off.
people.
But don't Game of
Yeah.
Thrones it, yeah, don't.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I wonder too, though, if they're gonna play in with like, yeah, if they make her a scientist, or they're gonna make her somebody also who like does action and play into what we know her as, the type of character. So it'll be interesting to see, and I just love that they're 80s, nostalgia, that like we're gonna throw in all the people that we like love, that we want to see on screen, and also like we haven't seen Linda Hamilton in literally
Much
like
of,
not a lot of shit, except
yeah.
pretty much like the last Terminator movie that came out of 5 years ago or something. Like, we haven't seen her on screen, so I think again it's nice that they're like reviving these people, that like don't have like much opportunity anymore. So that's gonna be nice to see. And then we got our first look at season 3 of Bridgerton. My also was like, what number are we on? Now with Queen Charlotte, my brain is like, no, so it's only 3, season 3.
Yeah. I'm excited for.
The Oh, go. Sorry,
No, you
sorry.
go.
No, what is the boy's name?
Colin.
That's gonna be Colin. That's what I thought. He's looking real suave,
I
like
was
with his
gonna say
hair. I was like, he looks hot. Well, I'm like actually attracted to him because I was not attracted to him season 1 or 2. He was not the brother I would choose
no.
from out of the Bridgerton family. I was like, but I
No,
was
they
like,
like
okay.
yeah, they like that hair department was like we gotta do something different.
And they said,
But
yeah,
I think it suits him a lot better. Um, but no, yeah, we got the first look, as in we just got stills. Uh, there's still no release date, I don't believe, for season 3 of Bridgerton. Um, the stills look good. Like, I don't know, something about it. It looks a little different than like all the other, which of course looks different than all the other seasons. Um, but I'm excited for it. But I'm just intrigued to see on if they're gonna do it the way it is in the books, because so far it's been a little off skewed from the books for each, of course, because the books are like thick books, so like you can't do everything. But I'm excited to see if but also like if I recall correctly in the I mean, nobody quote me, please. In the books, I don't think we ever figure out who Lady Whistledown is, but now in the show, it's already been revealed to the audience, but also now Eloise knows because of what happens in season 2. So I'm intrigued to see, like, will Colin find out about it? And then is that going to affect, you know, their relationship and whatnot? So,
drama
y'all get me on
on
this show.
Netflix.
Let me write for this show. Come on. We'll make some drama. But, no, yeah, and like I was telling you before, Simone Ashley, who played Kate Sharma in season 2, was in some of those stills. And I know I've seen a couple interviews where I almost said Anthony. Oops, Jonathan Bailey and Simone Ashley have both confirmed and said that they will be back for season 3. Now I don't know how much they will be in season 3, but I'm excited to see them. They're my faves so far, so
Same.
I'm excited to
Same. They're
see.
my fave couple, so I'm excited to see. And also, I wonder, like, with well, you can tell I'm a true Bridgerton fan, as I forget everyone's name in the show. What's your sister's name?
Daphne,
No, like Simone
Eloise.
Ashley's character's
Oh,
sister's
oh,
name.
oh, oh. Hold on,
What's
no.
Kate's sister
Yeah, hold
name?
on, give me a second. Oh, no. Hold on.
Okay, whatever. Her Kate's sister. Like, I want to see like that. Are they gonna continue that story of seeing like what she does? Like, I would be interested to see, because then she starts like working more with like the queen at the end of season 2 and where we left off and stuff.
Edwina.
Yeah, I was not gonna remember that.
Sorry,
So,
I was like, it's on the tip of my tongue and I couldn't. But also, she marries Prince Frederick from season 1, remember? Daphne was gonna be with the prince. The blonde boy.
oh,
Freddie
okay, yeah,
Stroma,
yeah.
him. Um,
Tell me all of it. I can't remember, but I also remember I like didn't fully watch season
you
1.
skim watched it.
So yeah, I skim binged it.
But no, she gets with him in the books.
So
So.
yeah, I'm like interested to see her story continue and all that stuff, and like and see it all. Hopefully it's good, or I will skim binge it again.
I will let you
Only
know.
season 2 did I fully, even though I did skim a little bit of that, but I was
Just
like,
because the
don't give a fuck.
Featheringtons, like that, yeah, no, I don't care about the Feathering.
That
I'm
needs to get
sorry.
like settled too. But I guess it's but then you think it's gonna be more, no offense, like
Now because of Penelope and
because
Colin, yeah.
yeah.
That's a Colin?
I don't know. I
Colin.
heard Colin, but answer down below what she said here if you made it this far into the episode.
If you made it 15 minutes in.
Yeah, but we've got some like new shows that kind of look pretty interesting. Clearly none that I'm remembering that are like stood out to me that I was like,
Wow.
wow. Yeah, no, it was exciting, and I like that they do that. Like, you got like a little bit of you. I mean, they didn't tease too much. I'm not gonna lie. Like, they had to like for instance, like uses like, oh, he's coming back, but we're not really gonna give you like a bunch because again, like with what's happening right now, like in the industry, of course, it's not some shit is not like super duper like confirmed with exact dates and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to play out. And then we got some exciting like trailers for what's coming out of Netflix, but like what's coming in September for cinema. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get into it because I need to shut the fuck up and we need to move on. So
Okay, we'll move on.
that should be the line. That's what the podcast should be like. Shut the fuck up and move on. Also, the one show that we talked about is not getting renewed for season 2. And then I listened back to the episode, and we're over here like, oh my gosh, there's hope. There's positive things being said. And then Paramount Plus came
Said
and like canceled a good amount of their shows. Unfortunately, Grease was the only one that I watched, which I guess explains why they.
But no, that's so upsetting because
It is. They are shopping it around. But what's more upsetting that's not that they canceled the show, is that you literally only have, which by the time you listen to this episode, it will be
gone.
off of Paramount Plus, which I find super weird. But I guess they thought like, okay, let us have it so they can shop it around to other things. But I'm like, no offense, I understand only having so much storage perhaps on your site, like Netflix does, where they take stuff off, take it down. And I liked when they would announce like what's new in June, and they would tell you also what was leaving, so you're like, oh shit. Like for instance, when I'm randomly on Hulu and then I see that Killing Eve was like being, taken down like last Wednesday, I was like, you know what? Let me just randomly binge, my psychopath, randomly binge some of these episodes because I was like, I don't have AMC. Like, first of all, who the fuck has AMC Plus low key? But I was like, dude, I know you have For Hell on Wheels.
No,
I
no,
know you
no,
have.
no, 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 because
Oh,
now it's
oh.
free on Tubi, so I don't even gotta have
Oh,
no.
Tubi. We love Tubi. So I was like, shit. I was like, I don't like. Not like I need to watch this, but Jodie Comer just won a Tony, so I'm like always on a hype Jodie Comer. I was like, you know what? Let me just watch some of these episodes. But it's like sad when they take it down because it's also like,
What
why
about
would
what we
you? Like,
watched?
why
Like,
wouldn't you put in the money to do it? Like, I don't understand. Like, okay, though you canceled it, why would you not keep it on your platform? Because that's what's gaining more people to come to your platform is to watch these shows. So that's what it doesn't make any sense why they take shit off of it because it's like, but then you see the shit they keep on, and
and
that's
you're like,
really the triggering shit. Is you're like, what the fuck is this show? I don't think that many
everybody
people
knows
watch
it.
this
I
show.
don't think nobody's ever
Like,
seen that goddamn show, but you're going to take out this good show. I'm so literally you sent me that article, and I was like, I'm gonna commit a war crime. I was like, no, I'm upset. I was like, but like, why? Like, at least keep
and
it
they're
on the
just
platform. I don't understand why they're
no,
taking it
that's the
off.
annoying thing. But I think it's because so they can shop it around, which like, okay, hope that like somebody else picks it up and then and then gives it new life. And then like watching the director too, well,
Also,
not the
hold
director, the
on.
creator and the showrunner.
Did we say what the fuck we were just talking about? I don't think we ever name dropped the show. So, if you saw our second episode of this
How the fuck did
podcast,
we get on it without saying what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure we didn't name drop it, but we this whole time have been talking about Grease: Rise of the Pink Ladies. All right, that's if you saw the episode, you
Episode
know,
2 of the AHA
podcast.
podcast.
We love this show, okay? And I can speak to both this because we both really loved it, and now it's done. But hopefully somebody else picks it up. Bitch, I will pick it up. I ain't got no money, but
But what's upsetting is that well, my brain said shut the fuck up. My brain said
I love how your brain has a self timer to be like, no.
My brain is so bad. I think it's because I survived cardiac arrest. I've been looking into it. My brain, like my train of thought is, I'm having a lot of effects. It is like getting to my life that I'm like, I think it's because I'm unwell that I don't have any train of thought in my head. Is oh, okay, so right now, which we'll get into once it's announced, but right now we're in the current state of for your consideration. So you keep seeing all posters and ads and people talking about like their great cast. Well, unless it's really only Yellow Jackets, is always the one. Daisy Jones and the Six, which I hope.
Thank
Like, there's a lot
you.
of shows that I'm hoping that they get, and of course we have like our variety actors and actors, Hollywood Reporter roundtables, because it's for your consideration where they think, oh, these are the biggest contenders. These are the people that, the production companies, the shows are putting out to promote and be like, hey, get this show. So it's upsetting is that the Rise of the Pink Ladies is doing for your consideration shit, and while they're doing it, like, please consider our season 1, they're not getting a season 2, and their show is getting off. And like the creator and showrunner was like, hey, and like the cast, like, just watch it, like that's what you can do for us right now, is just like watch it again and before it disappears. But it's just sad, like all of that, like one thing to cancel, but then to like disappear the show, because technically then where the fuck will the show be,
Like what?
except like clips on YouTube, like where do you go it and then be like, who? And I feel like because there's so many mergers right happening with streaming services, like who would pick it up? Because I feel like every streaming service is right now in a weird place to be like, do they have enough funds? Do they have enough things to put it? They have like, maybe just go back on network television. Because
Honestly,
CW could use it, but I wouldn't want CW to turn it into a CW
I would
show.
not want them to turn it into some Riverdale
But
shit.
yeah, which I can't wait till that show ends. We can talk about it. But yes, like that, we would hope it had a new life for it. So it's just sad. So
So moral of this, go watch it before it gets off of Paramount Plus because it was really good, and go support all of those creatives, please.
yeah,
It's very good. Also, promotion for the Barbie movie has started, even though we all fucking thought that this movie already had come out. Like,
I didn't have this. I have the date down in my
yeah.
calendar.
But yeah, no, promotion for the Barbie movie has started officially
Yeah, they're
because it
press
comes
tour
out
now.
in a month. What is it, the
Yeah, a little
21st
bit less than a month.
of
Yeah,
July? Yep. So that's something to keep an eye out for, which double fucking feature, bitch. Oppenheimer's coming out too, and so is the Barbie movie. So I'm gonna go. I don't know which one I'm gonna see first, but I'm
well,
a double feature it.
I want to see Barbie, then Oppenheimer, and then probably end with Barbie because I'll probably be depressed with Oppenheimer, and then just be like, you know what? Let me watch Barbie movie again.
Not me saying the name of that movie wrong. Why did I say Oppenheimer, bitch? Oppenheimer. Oops.
If it sounds like fucking Phineas and Ferb, like Doofenshmirtz, yeah, like like what you were
It
saying, like
does.
Offenheimer, yeah.
It's my speech impediment. I gotta go
That
back to
damn
speech
speech
therapy,
impediment.
bitch.
I can't afford speech therapy at the moment.
No, that's why I'm just gonna sound like an idiot.
In the link, there's a GoFundMe to help us talk better and give support our speech therapy.
Let's discuss Black Mirror season 6. First episode only because you only watched that and I haven't seen it yet.
I only watched first episode, but if people liked other episodes, I would watch them. I haven't even finished the season before season 5. Like, I don't know. My favorite season, well, like my all-time favorite is San Junipero. I think I watched that episode too many times. Like, that season, which I believe is season 3, had nosedive. It was also when they started introducing more American actors into, because it's based in the UK. The creators are from the UK. It was a lot of like British actors in it, and in that season they started introducing more so like, and then you had Black Museum, you had like these great episodes, and then even season 4 had some good like standout episodes like USS Callister and all this stuff. Black Mirror is not a show you can binge watch because it's very depressing, so unless you kind of if you get in the right mood, it's a very like you know what, I can do a heavy technological, not a happy ending type of fucking show, you know. But there's really good ones. Like White Bear is also a really fucking good Black Mirror episode. There's some great standouts. You're like, that's a fucking solid piece of television. And you don't have to watch it in order. There is some, like, for instance, Black Museum. Definitely watch that at like the end of your Black Mirror experience, because it gives Easter eggs to other episodes. So that's like the only episode in that you'd be like, what the fuck does any of these have to do with each other? Or, you know, there's some that have Easter eggs, but the first episode is Joan is Awful, which you've seen like with Selma Hayek, and then you also have from Schitt's Creek, you have Annie Murphy, who did a beautiful job of like balancing the comedic and the drama in it. And you had such random ass like celebrity things, like, so the thing is basically like they make fun. So it's basically like, it's called Streamberry, which is like they literally have the S, like looks like the Netflix logo, and it's basically okay, this is technically spoiler territory. So like Streamberry, like she finds out that the show is based on her life. So this character Joan, right? So she's like, oh my gosh, like her son's like, oh, what is this? Joan is awful. And they're like, what the fuck? Let's watch it. So she's with her boyfriend, they're watching it, and then literally showing you everything that happened that day in her life. And she's like, what the fuck? And she goes to her lawyer, and her lawyer is like, so you know that terms and a condition shit that nobody reads? She's like, so in it, it said that they could steal like your shit, that they were like. So then it's like, well, why? But everyone's like, but Selma Hayek's, and it's like, I'm gonna watch it because Selma Hayek plays Joan in the Stringberry version of it. So then, but then it's like, oh, Selma Hayek signed a thing where it's like they're pretty much using like AI, so it's not really Selma Hayek acting. So that's why they're able to produce this shit so fast, is because like they got the rights to the image and voice of Selma Hayek, and then like the computer pretty much like takes a footage of what they know from Joan's life, puts it in that, like, so it's okay, it's a Black Mirror episode, so it's like but there's some really good, like the ending is like a good twist, but like in it you see Selma Hayek is watching, like, because Joan is Awful is now aware of this like Joan is aware of this show, like Annie Murphy's Joan. Selma Hayek is then watching like, oh my gosh, what is this show? Joan is Awful, and her in that version. And then Kate Blanchett is playing that Joan. So then it's like, so randomly Kate Blanchett is in it, and like Michael Cera pops up in it and different like shit. So it's like there's random cameos that I was like not expecting in it, but also it was like, yeah, it's a little bit like crazy, and I won't spoil it because the ending is good, and it's good to like be surprised with it. And then it's directed by Ali Panku, if I'm saying that right. But she directed like episodes of Feel Good, which is which I like that show. That was on Netflix, and it was like a British comedy show. And then and then she has her movie that premiered at South by Southwest that did like got good things, was I Used to Be Funny, which will be her like film debut, because she's done like TV and things. So I thought she did like a wonderful job, and Katya agrees. We support
Don't
women,
mind, she's
female
just wants
female
attention.
directors. So I thought she did a great job, and I thought it was a great like episode, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, that one's definitely a watch. And then they only have like I think to episode 4 that they put out for it, but yeah, there's one with like Aaron Paul and Kate Mara that I thought, only because I've been off of which I'll just quickly touch in, is Class of '09, which is a Hulu original, but it's only a limited series, so they're not making it. But I think that's like, so I really enjoyed it while I was watching it. It was like, it's like a spy thriller. It's based on 3 decades, so it's like this FBI class of 2009. So it shows you when they joined the FBI in 2009 in their training. It shows you 10 years later, like present day is what they call it, in like 2023, and then they show the future 10 years later, like 2034. And so they go through it, and then the actors are like the same actors, and they age them to show like blah 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 what's happening. I think we saw the most ads for that show in like fucking New York on the subway and all the taxis, like Class of
Absolutely.
'09, Class of '09. It's not Class of '07. That's an Amazon comedy. It's not the same thing. This is like a thriller. It deals with like FBI. It deals with sci-fi. It does a lot with like, what if we had the, very much like we've seen this done in Futurama, in the show that Jonathan Nolan and J.J. Abrams did. that was based off the movie, like Tom Cruise, like a fucking Person of Interest, I think that's what it's called, where like you deal with like what if you could create an AI that pretty much just sought out people before they sought the crime, where they like where they were so ahead of the crime that they caught it before it happened. And then it kind of plays on that of like, okay, one of the characters creates this thing, but really just to help have a database of information to help the FBI. And then they take it and they're like, I want to fight the injustice. I mean, it has Brian Tyree Henry, who I love. His range is beautiful. I'm glad like he's more in it. I mean, him as Paperboy in Atlanta, it was kind of like his introduction to it. But like seeing him play Paperboy and then seeing him play like this character, or in Causeway, like you can tell like he has a theater background, so like he's fucking good. Like he's great. Kate Mara is always great and everything. Separa Mofai, which I is like one of my new favorite actresses, who I was like actually most excited to see, because I hope she like continues to where she can be like a lead. Like I watched her in like the L Word Generation Q, which like everyone was like, she's like one of those actresses that has literally chemistry with like anyone, which is I think like rare, like not all the time like great. Like she's like so charismatic and so like great, but in this role she kind of played like the timid like MIT graduate, like very like more sciencey than like thing, but she did a great job. She's also was in that Blackbird as an FBI agent as well. I guess that's what jobs are now. It's like, you want to play an FBI agent? Okay, but this one is a different one now here in this show. But Kate Mara and Brian's characters are like the main characters, so they focus a little bit more on theirs. And Brian Tyree Henry like becomes the director of the FBI and is really kind of fighting like injustice on the system. And he wants to use this system as like that everyone's a suspect, like that equality of like no matter if you're special or if your politicians are like putting in, it's like whether you're black or white, no matter what race, like we're all starting out as a suspect, and then the computer goes down and is like, well, no, you're not in this location, so you can't be the killer and this and that and that, but we all start as that. So they talk about like the injustice and how it plays and how like, and then also Kate Mara is always playing, you know, either a bicon or a lesbian icon. So like she's like has love interests that are like the two like next like supporting characters. um Even though like what I got upset is like the ending, there was a good like cute ending, like where you see, spoiler, like Kate Mara like end up teaching back at the FBI like academy and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's so great, like what she did, because a lot of these characters aren't like typical, oh, what the FBI would say, like I went to law school, I was a police officer. Like they're like new people to help like, you know, change up the FBI type of thing. But then like it got so rushed, like even like the big like, oh my gosh, we have to go and reprogram this computer, like it was literally like run with guns, get to the door, type in a code, like literally lasted 3 minutes I think total. Go in there, they get in the program, they hit the code. Sabra Murphy plays Or, who's an Iranian American who created the program originally. She just like reprograms, and then it shuts down, and then like they get like, but it was like that was like the big like, oh, they're gonna go in and shoot, and that lasted like 3 minutes in the finale. And I was really enjoying it. And then I like started like just seeing what people were saying, just to kind of see like, and then people were saying something, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see that. But I just got upset because it was like, yes, it's a limited series, and like they knew that, but like it almost felt like I wouldn't have mind if it went on another season and we actually took the time and really got into this, because some of the shit was so fast, and like because it was jumping through 3 timelines, like one episode was pretty much mostly the present time, like what was happening with them getting like the program and like making it what they wanted it, like that. I was just so like, I was kind of disappointed because like at one point one of the characters proposes to Kate's character. Poet is her name. What would they call her? I don't remember her first name because they like say it like one time, and then it's like Ashley Poet, and she's like, but everyone calls me Poet. And then I saw they put a clip and they're like, or confesses her feelings to Ashley. And I was like, Ashley? Who the fuck
Who's
is Ashley? And I was like,
Ashley?
oh wait. I was like, yeah, I'm like, but why are you writing Ashley? Because you know in the show she goes by Poet. That's how everybody like knows her by. But like the other boy that they go to class with, whose name I'm not remembering at the moment, some white name, like he randomly like they're on and off, they like get together in the academy, blah blah blah. And then randomly, like the episode before the finale, he says, okay, he's like, will you marry me? Like, he's divorced now. He's like, oh my gosh, like, we should have, like, been together. Like, why do we, like, whatever. They proposed, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, they might show, like, the wedding or, like, let the people know. Like, we don't
No.
even see them get together. So, like, so what the actual, like, no, really, like, what the fuck was the point of you saying, let's get married? And then y'all didn't even show it. And me knowing this is a limited series, like, you showed me now, like, where they're at now. They could have simply been like, oh look, they got married, or like shown a quick thing, or just shown that she had a fucking wedding ring on, really, like if you didn't have that much time to show it, because it was like, and then because she was playing between like the boy and the girl, Kate's character Poet, like of, oh, who's she, like even though it's like, yeah, it wasn't like, I knew people like queer baiting it, like, okay, like they were roommates, they were like best friends, and like or was more in love with like Kate, but then it's like Kate kissed her back, and then you're like, okay, so they're gonna be together. And then even though later in the future, like, or has a family and a daughter, but then they come back, and then there's still like tension. So then it's like, okay, so you need to make it clear, like, who the fuck did you actually choose, like, to resolve it? Because that, like, it ended up ending that you were kind of like, I have some questions, and I wish we would have spent more time. Like, they had these great supporting characters that I actually would have genuinely been interested in more of their point of view than only focusing on Kate and Brian's characters, because then it got so heavy on them that they knew were cutting so quickly on these other characters that I was like, no, like I was invested, and now it's kind of like quickly going through. So I was really enjoying the show, and then it was like at the end I was like, okay, now there's some questions that I fucking have that I wish was like
Answered.
resolved. And like sometimes you have to think, like, is this story a limited series story? And I think like they could have easily done like 10 episodes, or done like gave it a little bit more time, because I kind of was like getting invested, like, oh wow, like these people's stories. But then it got to the point where it was just like, and then you realize like what they were actually fighting was not really like something big, like the fact that it was just like, let me shoot these drones with the computers controlling, and then we just go beep boop beep bop, and then it was done. And then you're
Done.
like, oh, I guess you couldn't have like a full on like FBI raid, like fighting shit, and you're like, oh, okay. But and they definitely drive a lot of Teslas, because that's the car of the future. And
Mm.
they don't even drive them; they let the fucking it drive themselves in the future and all that shit. But it, yeah, overall, it was like, I wouldn't say it's not a waste of time. Like, I enjoyed the show. Like, it's a good watch if you like those type of shows, like spy thriller shows with the element of sci-fi in it. Um, and the ending's not bad. Like, its stuff is resolved, and it's like cute, cute. Fuck, this show's not cute. But like a cute little like full circle with some shit, but not everything is full circle. That you're like, wait, because I would like to see where these supporting characters that I actually like did fall in love with and become invested in, what happened to them. Like, yes, I'm following Kate's character, I'm following Poet, but I'm kind of like,
Invested in
what
like
the
the
fuck
other
happened to everybody
characters.
else? Yeah. So because on the poster, all four of them are on there. So it's like, you're already telling me these are the four main characters of your show. Yes, Kate, like, and in the intro, like, they're all in the, so it's like, you would think that you would actually resolve it with every character,
Rather than
because that's how
just
you
the
kind of introduced us. Like, yes, I kind of know these two are the main two, but like, if this is all we're getting of this story, I would have liked that,
like
and
another season or something.
resolving of the ending. But overall, I thought it was a good show, and it was, yeah, it surprised me. It was like way more enjoyable than I thought it was gonna be. But I like a good spy thriller, like I said. Like, I liked The Americans. I grew up loving Alias, so even a little kooky ass from Body Device, fucking little sci-fi shit that you're like, what? But you still believe it because you like the characters, even though you're like, what the fuck is actually going on? Like, how does this weird ass device gonna save the world? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm gonna
but
keep watching.
but I'm here for fucking Jennifer Garner wearing a colored wig and fighting some bitches. So yeah.
Also, you mentioned The Crowded Room. What are your thoughts on that show? Because
So clearly, you can tell I haven't been doing anything except watching TV. Apparently, okay, The Crowded Room on Apple TV, starring Tom Holland, Amy Razam, Amanda Seyfried. Those three are amazing. First of all, Amy Razam does not get enough praise. Fucking
she's
amazing ass
incredible.
woman, like so good. Fucking, she's an actor. Like
I need
she's
her
like,
in
that's what she
more
was meant to do
things.
in her life. Like, and her range. So she plays the character of Tom Holland's character, which I'm not even going to say the names because they didn't even stay in my head. To people are going to think like I really don't like know shit. Like I'm like I just watch stuff and I can't remember anybody's name. But clearly I watch too much that it's like no.
All
Oh,
meshed together.
Danny Sullivan. Danny Sullivan. That's his name. There we go. I just had to think for a second. Um. So it's based on a book, which is based on the first case that where the person, which in a sense is a spoiler, but they tell you, and I kept forgetting, and then I looked back again. So we're on episode 5, so we're halfway through. There's be 10 total episodes, and it's based on this book where the person pleaded insanity. The first time that was ever pleaded, where they're like, listen, technically they're not guilty because they're fucking insane. So like, yes, they killed people, but like they're insane. So yeah, we're just gonna do it. Because he had like he's insane, so like bad extreme mental illness that he was battling. The thing is, it kind of goes through is this event happens. It's based in New York City, like in the 70s, and he comes like with a gun and shoots at Rockefeller Center. And a day or two later, the police get him out of his house, bring him in. And Amanda Seyfried plays this psychiatrist that works with, the police department. And so she's coming in and interviewing throughout like a few days Danny to kind of understand like, hey, what do you know? Like the people that you said you're with, we can't find them. Like, what do you know about that? Where they're at? So I find funny. So he's basically like retelling his life story, also the stories of the other people. And my favorite is when we get into the backstory of like a character, like for instance, one of the girls that who the actress I love, she's really good. But she plays like Ariana, who's like with him living in this house that he ends up being in like down the street from his other house, which is just fucking kook too. We're not gonna get into that. And so yeah, because he like runs away from home, but he's like down the fucking street from home. But like,
It's like when you're like 5 years old, you're
yeah,
like, I'm running away, and you run like to the mailbox, and you're like, I'm going back home.
you're like, you know what? Like, I realize it's not gonna work out. But then his parents see him and like lets him stay at the house with this fucking random ass man who has like a past that's somehow connected to his father. And like, listen, yes, when I explain you're confused, I'm confused. You are confused the whole time watching this. But anyways, so she's interviewing him, and so when he's telling the story, like of Ariana, like, oh, she like I don't know if she was like a prostitute. They don't really ever say shit deliberately. They just like allude, and you're like, I guess she's a prostitute. She's at a club, like, and there's people who are like, hey, like, yeah, like it seems like she's doing prostitution. I'm just gonna say that at the club, and and then and then my favorite is, so it's telling the story, right? And then it cuts back to Amanda Seyfried and Tom Holland talking, being into, and then she goes, but like, she's like, but how do you know that? Like, you weren't really there. And then you're like, that's true. But in a TV show, you're just like, sure, give me the backstory from a
Sure,
character who wasn't
everybody
fucking
knows that. Yeah.
there. You're like, okay. It's like, oh, she told me, or like whatever. And you're just like, okay. And then we have Lucius Malfoy pop
Period.
up. I love Jason Isaacs.
He's so
Um,
good.
but like randomly in the story, after the shooting happens at Rockefeller Center, which you find out like, was he trying to shoot his stepdad, who also ended up being the person that like, so it deals with dark themes of like, there is like pedophilia, there is like rape, it's never like shown, but it is alluded to. So then it's like, oh, the person that like raped Ariana was also his stepdad, and you're like, how the fuck? Like, and then even Amanda Seyfried is everyone in the watching the show like,
What?
how that's too coincidental? Like, what the actual fuck is going on? And and I was like, because I talked to myself because I'm also slightly unwell, insane, and I was like trying to talk. I was like, it's not like if they're going for me to feel like how he's gonna plead, which is insane. Yes, you're doing a grand fucking fantastic job because I'm fucking low-key going insane watching this show. But like, it's giving me Under the Banner of Heaven vibes of I
Oh,
watch an episode right? It's a true
Oh
crime. Oh my
God.
gosh, like somebody happened. Who killed who? What's the actual truth? And I'm getting nothing. And I'm watching it because I think like, okay, fuck, I've invested 5 hours of my time. So like, fuck, like I don't want to be dumb and be like that was a fucking waste of time. Like, well, maybe I'm gonna learn something this episode, like a little bit of his backstory. And I learned like a fucking little bit of his backstory that doesn't help me the fuck at all to know where the fuck the people are. Did he actually kill anybody? What the fuck? But Tom Holland's performance, I will say, no, is worthy of people to talk about it because it's actually pretty good. The way he portrays this little boy, and you can tell he fully went there because it just shows in every fucking shot of the show that you can tell his mind is tormented, and the way he's portraying this boy of like, this boy has been like abused, has been like, but it's hard because I don't really know what's actually happened because no one has ever been like, this is the truth. Like, that's why I'm like, hopefully episode 6, based on the little summary that Apple TV is telling me under the episode, that we're going to get something of like, hey, I think he has multiple personality disorder, because then all of a sudden this boy goes to London for like a day and a half. Like he goes to London, finds this man who knows his father who left his life like a long time ago, which is Jason Isaacs' character. And then he comes back, even though he's like, I need to do a job. The job fails, goes literally home the next day, which I'm like, bitch, it ain't cheap to
You're
fucking
like, what
fly
the
to
fuck?
London like that. He comes back, then gets arrested by the police. And then you see Amanda Seyfried go interview Jason Isaacs' character, who you thought was in London. And then I'm thinking, wait, but is then that Tom Holland's character, Danny Sullivan, pretending to be him? And is that when she comes to interview him, maybe he's doing voices and shit? So she's like, oh, and he has multiple personality disorder, and he's like telling these stories through them. But like, I really have no fucking clue. I just want to know. And like, that's what's upsetting. And I think that's why, like, Tom Holland commented, like, people were reviewing this really badly. And I don't fucking blame them because, like, I'm watching it and it's kind of boring and I'm not learning anything that's like, there's
Valuable.
some scenes that he does really great. And like I said, he's really good. And I can tell how this could take a toll on him, like, him playing this sort of character and in every scene, like, but I need the payoff and I need the payoff soon to be like, tell me what actually happened. What's the truth? Somebody to be like, like, oh yeah, no, he is fucking insane. That the character's fake. So it's like, I'm hoping the payoff is worth it, but I'm scared it's not, because by episode 5, you think we would have had some like firm standing of like, okay, so this is true. This is what happened. Because then he says he has a twin brother, which you're like, I don't think he does, because then they're like, oh, you have a brother, and then you're like, oh, but he died, and then you're like, what the actual, like, you're so fucking confused that you're like, what? I just don't fucking get it, and I need something, like, I need some little piece that it's like, oh, this shit happened here, but I, like, now I understand why, like, based on this case that he pled insanity, because if I was fucking trying to put the pieces, I would just be like, no, no, my head, I can't, so I'm gonna watch it to the end, and I will give you guys my report when episode 10 comes out, which will be in another fucking like 4 weeks. And I will talk to you guys and let you know if the payoff was worth it and what the fuck. Amanda Seyfried is amazing, but like, she's like Emmy Rossum, like whatever role you put her in, she's gonna step up and perform. But yeah, I'm just so like it's so fucking whack. Like, I was watching with my sister and she was just like, no. She's like, should I keep watching? And I was like, I'm watching this to like keep up for the podcast to be like, oh, talk about it. But I'm like, no. Like, it might be enjoyable to watch with somebody else, so you could both be like,
What the
what the
fuck?
fuck? This is a waste of my time. Why am I watching this? But you know what? At least we're doing it together. So
Yeah,
if
and
you guys want to watch a show that confuses the fuck out of you, and that's like kind of depressing too with the subject matters they talk about, but you don't know if it
the
actually
crowded
happened or
room.
not, The Crowded Room is for you. Streaming now on Apple TV.
Now yeah, when you now that I know what kind of goes on in the show, the fact that Tom Holland is taking like a year off makes so much more sense because I didn't know what the premise of the show was, and I was like, oh, interesting that he's gonna take a year off. I didn't know if it was like, he just wanted time off or whatever. But now that I know the synopsis of this damn show, I'm like, yeah, I would take time off too. That's like crazy to like put
And
yourself
also
into
it
all that.
shows, and you think about it, it's a 10-hour show. Obviously, you know, it took them more than 10 hours to film the show.
Yeah,
So like obviously it was for a long period of time shooting it, having to stay in that character because also he's a character who gets very much bullied, and I fucking like I hate watching bullying on screen. I hate bullying. And especially back in the day when like bullying like happen like this and is portrayed also a lot in movies where like the kid like for no good reason just fucking picks on your ass, and I just hate that shit because it's like bitch, you didn't give a fucking reason why you're beating on this fucking poor kid. So like that shit, like he's beaten on, like you know, like people don't take him seriously. He's always like a person who's like down on the luck type of shit, so you're feeling so bad for this fucking kid and then seeing what he has to go through, and then you're also just like confused because you're like I feel bad for you, but now I'm like I'm not believing you because I don't know what's actually true or not, because shit is not adding up and like shit is becoming too coincidental and how all this shit is. So, but it definitely shows that like, if you had to stay in that mind of a character who never is like winning pretty much, it's gonna fucking take a toll on you. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
so I just feel bad because this story is like polluting his performance because you're
Hmm.
so like, what the fuck is going on here? That because it's getting bad reviews, because just because you have a great performance, if it's like the show is shit,
Yeah.
you're not going to be talked about that much of like, oh my gosh, just to be considered. But I'm hoping it's like maybe perhaps like a blonde situation where Ana de Armas still got nominated for a fucking Oscar because she did a good ass performance, even though that story was whack as fuck.
Duh.
There's hope that like even though the story right now is like what the fuck, that the performances are still applauded that are in it. So
Yeah.
we will see.
We've hit an hour already recording. So with that being said, let's hop into that the craziness and the awesomeness that is House of the Dragon. My House of the Dragon is tied into such a core memory of mine because you and I were watching it while we were on the road in Europe. So I just know us like country hopping essentially and figuring out what countries allow HBO Max and which ones don't. And we were like, fuck this because this country does not allow HBO Max and the episode just dropped and we need to know.
Austria.
Austria does not allow HBO
We
Max. And we're like, does she get with Damon or not? Like, we're like, does this happen? Or watching it in the back of that van with headphones in, trying not to spoil
and,
anything, but spoiling the whole episode because we can't shut up.
and we're watching it with the van that has windows, and you know that every show has pretty much lowered their brightness, and then you're like, hold on, and then the sub, and then when they speak
Hi,
fucking
Valerian.
yeah, and then the yellow subtitles, and you're like, hold up, let me get my microscope and read what they wrote for what the heck is going. I forgot that. Yeah, we literally watched it. Did we end it together? Did it end when we were there?
No, let me tell you because we watched up until episode. I want to say seven. Hold on, hold on. Let me see how many episodes there are because I know I watched the last two by myself because you watched
Yes,
them
yes.
yourself and then I watched because you watched them before me and I was like, what in the foot fetish is going on with this cripple man and Allison? I don't know. I don't like this foot fetish. I FaceTimed
No, me
you.
either.
I remember that. And then the whole Lucerys. No, yeah, Luke. What happens with Luke? I literally was like, bitch, what the fuck? Um, but there is 10 episodes. Yes, we watched the first 8 episodes together. No, 7 episodes.
Something like
It was
that.
7 episodes because 8 is Lord of the Tides, where
Mm,
Vaymond gets. Because Daemon. First of all, y'all, if you
mm-hmm.
haven't seen the show, spoilers, but also all the names are similar, bitch, and you're like, I don't know which one's which. But when Daemon beheads Vaymond, when when Lucerys is like gonna be Lord of the Tides because Laenor dies, girl. Um, and basically Daemon's like Driftmark is mine, blah blah blah, and Daemon was like fuck you and cuts his head off. I remember because I was shook by that and I called you and I was like, girl, what the fuck? Anyways, we watched the first 7 episodes together, and then the last three we watched separately, and that was a trip.
Oh, because we also watched, because I think I was watching before you. I was like watching it
Yes,
too, and then I
yes.
like came to your house when we were like leaving, and then I was like, girl, like I was like, I'm gonna watch this shit without you, but I'm letting you know, like either you catch up or bye, bitch. I'm gonna watch this
Yeah, no,
show.
because we watched the first 3 episodes together because you'd already
And your
seen
parent,
them, and
yeah,
then yeah,
and then you became addicted, and then yeah, then I created a
like really
dragon in
bad.
your basement as you were like. And then I think your mom was like, y'all need to shut the fuck up. You're so loud downstairs. Like, what are you watching? And then who would have thought you're watching House of Dragon and you're like yelling and losing your mind at, yeah.
But yeah, no, the show is great. I have the book Fire and Blood on my bookshelf because I needed a fix of House of the Dragon while season 1 was done, and I had seen it like 10 times at that point and was like, I need more.
That's what I was gonna say. George R. R. Martin's like the history of Game of Thrones and the fact that he could like just, you quiz him and he could be like, yeah, no, here and this, and you're just like,
What?
but that's what you love, that like he has this world and there's all these people and like the kings and the queens and the root and all this shit that you're just like, and there's actually fucking straight on fans who know all of it too, that are like, I could tell you all about the history of it, and that's what makes it feel so real as a fantasy world,
Oh
is
yeah.
that there is so much of a history, that there is so much of like who came here and how that came and all that like affected it, that it's like it is a beautiful fucked up world
But also the
like
fact that
it's
all of
like
this
that.
came from one man's brain. And I'm like, sir, I would just love to sit down with him and be like, how did you like I want to know what was the thing that sparked that initial like want creatively to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna write all of these books based on all these characters and everything. And so the fact that this man can keep his fucking thoughts straight with all these characters, I can keep my thoughts straight with fucking 3 characters I'm writing, let alone 600 of them that have like pretty much the same name. And you're like, what the fuck? But
And they're also different too. Like you don't ever. I feel like that was the great thing about like watching Game of Thrones, watching House of Dragon, is that like nobody felt like, oh, this is the
a
same
carbon
character,
copy.
even though they
Hmm.
might be like doing similar roles as like, you know, Hand to the King or Hand to the Queen. Like those roles, that like the characters were so like unique in their own thing, that they had a backstory, that they had those things that like you crave as an audience, or even just like appreciate, is when the character is fucking fleshed out, that you're like, oh, that is a human being who I can either fucking despise or like a little bit, or, you know, root for or whatever. But they do great with like their character work, which is why I think Game of Thrones got away with having these long ass monologues, having so much shit that like you would. That's, I think that's one of the few shows that like, even though you're watching it weekly, you still would be like, let me see what they're saying on previously on, because they might be putting some shit from season 2 that I need to know, that name that they said and how that Raven finally fucking got to them to deliver that news, and it just came back. That you're like, let me watch this and see, because now I usually am like, skip, bitch. I've been watching this every week. I don't need to know what happened. But like that show, where I think as like an audience, people would be appreciated more of this shit that was like so much said that you didn't care that maybe you weren't catching it all, because it was just so well done, that you were like, oh wow, like the speech or whatever she's saying and these shots, that like it was just a good ass fucking show, and that's why it's like a fucking worldwide phenomenon. And I have to say, with House of Dragon, like there's, with so much of the shit that they wanted to do of, oh my gosh, Game of Thrones are so fucking successful, there's so much from that world, there's so much we could pull from, with all the different prequels that they wanted to do and all that stuff. And some of them didn't make it all the way through, that like around House of Dragon people were nervous of like how good, and I think it fucking
I
like
think
it
it blew.
delivered.
Yep. Hmm.
And you were like, fuck yes. But also you're like, you like, I think it worked with having focus on the Targaryens, because we already, one, we didn't need to see the Mad King, like that was told enough through Game of Thrones, but like seeing the Targaryens, because that was a family we barely got, because the only,
Hmm.
you know, few that were living, you know, were fighting and being hidden because of fucking, you know, the fight for the Iron Throne. So in a way you were like, yes, fucking more dragons. We
But
fucking
also,
love dragons.
I will say, like, so the thing that keeps me like that kept me watching Game of Thrones, also having still finished, I know I have to, I know. Okay, it's like 600 years after. I understand. But like
But
the
that's why I told you, because you were like, no, I
I will
didn't finish Game of Thrones. I can't watch House of Dragon. I was like, bitch, it literally has nothing to do with like, it does have to do, but like, do not let that hinder you, because
right.
I'm not waiting for you to fucking watch fucking 3 seasons. I'm gonna watch this show with or without you. So it was like, yeah, it's like, that's the thing, is like, people listening, you can go and watch House of Dragon, because there's a good amount of years till like Game of Thrones happens. So it's like, go watch it and don't let that hinder you of like knowing it. Like, fucking go watch House of Dragon, and then while you wait for season 2, fucking catch up on Game of Thrones.
Period. But the thing that like even like all the way when Game of Thrones started to come out, like the very first season, I was watching it and keeping up with it, but I think I had like fallen off of it at like season 3 or 4 maybe, like while it was airing. And then so much time passed, and now it's on, streaming on HBO Max, which is great. Um, but
Max.
Max, sorry. But I will say the thing that kept me going was Daenerys and the whole Targaryen, like that's the one. And I mean, I also really like Arya and like some other characters that I really enjoy, like watching character development for. But I will say, like, the thing that kept me was Emilia Clarke's character of Daenerys and the whole Targaryen thing. And so when it was announced they were doing House of the Dragon, which is going to be like pretty much the entire lineage of the Targaryen line, I was like, first of all, bitch, I love dragons. I was like, I okay, I would dragons are like my favorite thing in the world. Okay, I if I could have anything, I would want a fucking dragon, bitch. And so a whole show dedicated to the Targaryens, I was like, okay, I'm here for that. And they delivered and left no crumbs, in my opinion. Again, people are also comparing the book to the show, which I totally get. But also, y'all, the book is huge. So also, like, House of the Dragon is gonna be more, if not, from what I understand of what's happening with season two. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna spoil stuff. So sorry, in the book and the show. So if you don't know, bye, Hannah. So if you,
Just go off while I fucking plug in this
it's
laptop. I
okay.
was like, I
I'm
don't need to
gonna.
be on screen for this.
You're fine. Um, but what I think is happening and what will happen is, um, season 1 and 2 is gonna be like the events before the Dance of the Dragons, and then the Dance of the Dragons and the aftermath of it. I think that's gonna be seasons 1 and 2. Um, because then after that, it's gonna be like all the stuff that happens after Rhaenyra and the whole Dance of the Dragons with the Iron Throne and everything. So I feel like they have a lot to work with, but trying to cram it all in like one season, like that's like impossible. I don't think anybody could ever do that because even George R.R. Martin has stated like this shit's gonna need a long time to do it properly and to like tell the story in the right way. But anyway, I'm super excited for season two. I already know some spoilers and I'm not ready for it because I know season two is gonna be intense as shit. And
Oh
I'm
my
here
gosh.
for every war crime Rhaenyra is going to commit because Emma Darcy just wow.
So good.
Like
So, like, her fucking performance, like her getting like the
that final
Golden
shot that
Globe, and like,
I'm just
okay,
gonna
first of all, like, no, that shot, yes, like everything she does as a pregnant mother is astounding. Just the fact of like like just her emotion and her like
physicality
fucking,
and everything was just so like
and to be so present that you're like, oh no, I believe every emotion that you're feeling right now, that you're conveying. That, like, she was so fucking good. And then, yeah, like that was like and the like hearing about like the process of her auditioning, and like she's like, I think I acted every fucking scene in that show, which is crazy that they had all those scenes ready, you know what I mean,
already.
like, but I mean, they have the book, so it's easy to be like, hey, this is the scene we're gonna show, like, like I can only imagine watching like those audition things and seeing just how better she like obviously like good enough to be like, yes, but you should, you know, you won like the prize of being this character. But then like showing what ended up being on screen of like, you know, what did they fine tune and what did they like appreciate from like those auditions. But it's just like, and she's such a great human being, you know, there's such a great human being like that you're like, yeah, like, yeah, you deserve it. And I think that does well because I feel because Game of Thrones is such a big, it's like fucking Marvel territory. You have people who love it and like cherish it so much, like, and you're known around the world. Luckily for those platinum wigs, that like her and Amelia Clark can be like people forget that
And,
they're Targaryens, you know. Like the mother of, I just loved when Amelia Clark would be like walking with fucking Kit Harington and she would be like, yeah,
and
sometimes I would be asked to take the picture. Like, little do you know, you're having the mother of dragons taking a fucking, you know, like photo of you when you should be having her in your photo. But like, I think that's like the nice perks of not, you know, those platinum wigs help to hide your
but it's also
identity.
like, first of all, the fact that every single one of these motherfucking actors look good in these fucking white platinum wigs, I'm like, first of all, if that, like, I don't know how good I would look in a platinum wig like that. I think it would take me like some time to get used to it. But also the fact that these wigs look so good and so real that I feel like when I do see, like, every now and then I'll forget Matt Smith has brown hair and I'll see him in like an interview or something and I'm like, wow, this man looks great with both platinum blonde and like his natural brown hair color. Also, that man hated the fucking wigs. I loved watching press for House of the Dragon, and the interviewer asked like who like hated the wigs the most, and literally everybody was like Matt. Like no, he was so sick of him, which I get. Like you have to sit in the chair for like 3 hours for them to like put your wig cap on and everything to make it look that realistic. But yeah, no, and it's that signature like white hair, and I think they all just look so fucking badass. I'm like, wow, if I had that, but I would steal a wig and like wear
Oh yeah.
it.
But that's the thing is like, but also he's like a boy and he has longer, you know what I mean? Like you're not used to all that shit. As a woman, you're like, yeah, put my fucking hair up. Let me have all this extra shit, you know, like on. And then also too, because it like creates new weight on your head or like how
Hmm.
you're like
Also, how
working
you
with it if you're
move
not used
and
to having like, but also he also had like a lot
six
of
hundred
fucking
fucking wigs,
haircuts.
bitch, in
But
every
also it's because
time jump.
it's like he because his face they're not aging his face, so it's he didn't have like two actors playing his, you know what I mean, he didn't have a younger version and the older. It was like, oh, you have to look like when you're here with the younger cast, so what we're gonna do is just chop your hair so then it shows that time has passed. Like to
Pretty
show
much.
here it is. And then that fucking Dracarys scene will always be
Oh
like
my god, with Lena,
that
girl,
death scene. But no, it's definitely a good like that was a good ass show that came out last year that was like,
top
yo,
of my
like
list, a hundred
if you're in
percent.
it, like watch House of Dragon. It is a good fucking watch. Everybody does so good in it. Fucking Olivia Cook, like she, she's so like it's so upsetting because I love a good fucking female friendship, and they had so you're like okay, and just seeing that evolution and then them of where they go like in it and like the people behind them like pinning these women against each other, which I fucking hate when they pin women against each other. But like oh my gosh, like now I'm fucking thinking of the dumbass TikTok you sent where they edited it faster, where she has like the fucking knife and like coming like, hey, you hurt my kid, and now that they have kids, and how like you heard it on all this like so much tension, so much drama, but then the fact that they're also like and majority of them are like such good friends, or you're like, damn, y'all can act good because like if you can be like, ah, la, 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 you
Then
know,
they call cut, and they call
nigga,
action, and you're like,
yeah,
ah, like
you're like, I fucking hate you. So it's like it's sad to see like that friendship devolve and like how they're gonna be pinned against each other and how like loss and grief and oh my gosh like shit that's happened in your personal life will affect you and how that changes like their friendship and their ultimate goals of what they want really like who they want sitting at the Iron Throne. So yeah, it's gonna be fucking exciting. And because I never read the books and keep up with that shit, then I just keep surprised if I'm like, oh, that fucker died. I'm sad.
girl.
So, which I'm just gonna keep doing. That's how I watch Game of Thrones. Is like, you know, just not knowing who's gonna die and who do I hold on to. I mean, no offense, I did Wikipedia because I do support Wikipedia, and I watched and I read the like what happened, so I do know like what the ending is and all that stuff. Because I think I was getting too, I was like just fucking like, because you already kind of know based on Game of Thrones like where shit goes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, I was like, whatever, let me just like read how this stuff happens. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this. Like I'm good with some of it, like how it goes. Like of course, like like will she make it to the Iron Throne? But
Girl,
like if you watch Game of Thrones,
you
you kind of
know,
know.
you know.
So you're just like, whatever, but I'm here to fucking watch her fight for it. So
But yeah, no.
yeah.
So also, if you don't know what House of the Dragon is, I don't know why you clicked on this episode. You're gonna be highly fucking confused. But basically, House of the Dragon is a prequel to what happens in Game of Thrones. So it's set like 200 years before even I think Daenerys Targaryen is even born. So it's a long ways before Game of Thrones. So basically, talks about King Viserys, who, first of all, I will say, Rhaenys deserved to be queen, 100%. If we're gonna talk about whole lineage and the heir and all that shit, which is then what bites everybody else in the ass later on in the season of the whole heir situation, Rhaenys should have been queen. Sorry about it, but Viserys got it. And you're like, why do men have to fucking rule everything? Just put the woman on the throne. I don't understand why we're not doing that in the first place, and then all this shit would not have fucking happened. Um, but basically, anyway, and then Viserys is married to Emma, who's the queen, obviously. And they have Rhaenyra, and then Viserys is very much so like, I want a son, I need an heir to the Iron Throne, blah 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 blah, that whole shebang of needing a male heir. Basically, spoilers again. Emma gets pregnant, and it's a boy. But then as she's giving birth, which that is a birthing scene that will forever make my stomach hurt.
Okay, there were so many birthing scenes in that season that I was one like, okay, maybe one you're like, wow, but they had like three in that fucking, season, and they did not shy away from showing stuff that you were like, I don't want to watch this.
And
But
then
like it
like,
made sense that back in the day of like why so many mothers died at childbirth or both of them died because how the fuck were they doing those like shit with fucking science or tools or medical shit that they had that you're like, I don't think that's actually gonna help anybody. But
yeah, no, and I feel like every single time there was a birthing scene, they like upped it a notch. Especially to the last one that we see, which when Rhaenyra gives birth, you're like, that makes me a little sick to my stomach, just a little bit like, oh lord. But also then credit to Emma Darcy and all of these actors and like actresses who can act to that level where like you can't as an audience as I know it's not real, obviously, of course, but there's that part in your brain where you're like, holy fucking shit, she's in that much pain. Like, so round of applause, Jesus, like to those actresses who do that. Because wow, you deserve every award ever. Because I can't imagine, first of all, also being on a film set with like 60 people behind that camera, and you yourself have to act that intense emotion in front of all these people. Uh, like
also intense emotion with a clearly like a fake, you know what I mean? Like a fake baby,
like fake
fake blood,
pain and fake.
all of that. But then she's showing it so like real, and it's not like it was a one take thing, which people forget sometimes. Like sometimes it's a few takes, and it's depending on the director or if they fucked up something,
But then also you gotta
like
think
to get that
all the different,
multiple times.
but the shot types too. You have
Right.
like
Or
16,
is it
15
one
different.
camera they shot with, or they shot at the same time, multiple did they Wrigley Scott it and we're like, we have fucking 16 cameras here and we're all going to get all of the coverage that we need? Or they were like, okay, so we got the coverage here for the wide and now we're going to go in for the medium and then the close up, and you're like, fuck you.
But then you're
And you
gonna
have to still do it the same with the same emotion, or maybe for the close up, you're like, I really got to fucking, pound it and like fucking really show it in my face now.
like it's insane and incredible. But yeah, so quick little synopsis. And so let me get back to that. So Emma has the son, but Viserys has to make the decision whether or not he's going to save the child or Emma because she's having complications during the childbirth, as one does back then because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Um, anyway, he chooses to like save the baby. Can you? I'm trying to give a synopsis here.
She really is like, yo, if you're gonna continue this, like, you gotta put me on the podcast. What the
She's
fuck,
literally
like?
like on asleep on my leg. Anyway, so Viserys makes a choice to kind of legit actually just cut the baby out of her stomach, and you're like, I don't want to see this, but I'm gonna sit like this and watch it. Um, long story short, Emma dies, but then also the baby dies too, and you're like, well, what the fuck now? Also, didn't mention Viserys has a brother, Daemon, played by Matt Smith. Incredible. He is now the heir to the Iron Throne. But Viserys is like, no. And then there's this whole like, oh, fucking, everyone's like upset and like, who's gonna be the
Well, everyone's
heir?
wondering where is it gonna go, who's, because he needs to name an heir,
But he,
and so he doesn't have a son. He's not remarrying anytime soon. So he has a daughter who's his only child, and he has a brother, but who's a man. You know, he's a brother. Obviously, he's like a boy. So it's like, okay, it mostly stays with men, which is really upsetting too, because like as a woman you're like, fuck, just let the fuck go. I don't understand, like, who cares that it's not the man? But like that's a big thing. So that's what got Viserys too, you know, that. So it's like seeing what chooses, and then, you know, as a good father does, he names fucking Rhaenyra as the heir, and then that shit complicates shit, because then her daddy remarry,
but,
and then he have a summer boys,
but
and
gag, bitch.
then
He remarries Rhaenyra's best friend,
best
Alicent.
friend
Okay, first of all,
Alicent Hightower,
but also the fact that
right? Yeah.
Hightower, yeah, but also the fact that like he was gonna marry Lena, but that little girl's like 12 years old, and Viserys is like 50 years old, and that whole scene of like him talking to her, and she's like, I don't have to bed your children until, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm
And
like,
I'm glad that he realized that, was no,
also
like,
Patty
no.
Constantine is, wait, I said his last name wrong. Is it Constantine or Constantine? I don't remember, but Patty, regardless, who plays Viserys, is so good. Like I can't see anybody else playing Viserys besides him. Also, this whole fucking cast, I can't see anybody else playing these characters besides them because they're all so good. Um, but anyway, he marries Alicent, and then which was fucking weird, but whatever. But then you fucking find out that Otto, who's Viserys's like hand, the hand of the king, who's Alicent's dad, is behind everybody, like puppeteering and making all this happen.
As any hand of the king would be doing.
Mm-hmm. Just stabbing the king in the back, bitch. And so they have kids. They have Aegon, Aemond, and Helena. They also have another son named Darren, who's not in the show. He's in the book, but they have more kids. But in the show, they just have the three. Um. Anyway, fucking time jump. No, no time jump. There's so much that happens in the show.
I didn't realize you were doing a whole synopsis of the
I'm
whole
trying
show.
to
I
do
thought
a
you were like
short
setting
one.
up the
I'm trying
show.
to do a short one, but there's so much that happens.
So I'm just gonna relax here and hear you
And
go off,
listen to
okay?
me give a synopsis. Okay, so Alicent marries Viserys. Okay, they have their kids, but then Rhaenyra and Daemon have like a relationship. Again, that's her uncle, y'all. Have a relationship and then go to a brothel, which that seemed really weird. Of course, it
That
weirds you
was
out,
weird.
but
But it's
then
Game of
he.
Thrones world,
So
so
you're like, that's fine.
they have to be at a brothel.
Oh, anyway, and then Alicent finds out about it because Otto has his little spies in the Red Keep or whatever. Um, and then Alicent confronts Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's like, no, I didn't do it. Anyway, all this other shit happens. She loses her virginity to her fucking guard, Sir Krispy Kreme. I fucking hate him.
Krispy Kreme, that is not his actual
No,
name, but
it's
yeah.
not. It's
Krispy Kreme, I fucking can't.
it's Christian Cole. Okay, I don't like him, but Fabian, the actor, is great. He's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
Anyway, he gets mad at Rhaenyra because she doesn't want to fucking run away with him and fucking sail the seas. She's like, bitch, I'm the heir to the Iron Throne. I ain't got time for you. What the fuck?
Like, I like you, but I don't like you
like
that
that.
much.
Yeah, no. Anyway, he gets mad and then switches sides and like goes to the Greens and like becomes Allison's guard or whatever. I don't even know. Anyway, Rhaenyra marries Laenor, who are Valerians, which we don't really hear too much in Game of Thrones, but they're kind of like the Targaryens, but it's a lot. Anyway, she marries Laenor, who is gay and has like his side boy who's like a squire or something. Anyway, they get married. But then fucking Christian Cole over here beats the shit out of Laenor's lover, and then that causes spirals. Anyway, there's a time jump. Time jump like 10 fucking years, and now they're adults and they all have kids. Rhaenyra has, I was gonna say kids with Laenor. No, she don't. She got kids with Harwin Strong, who's like, what the fuck? He's Lionel Strong's son, who like becomes Hand of the King after Viserys tells Otto to fuck off. Anyway, there's a lot, guys. Try to keep up. Um, and so
I love how you can clearly tell that you're obsessed with this because you know all the characters' names, and then when I'm over here like telling a show, and I'm like, name, it's
don't
not
know.
important to me anymore. Delete it. And you're over here like, and I'm over like, oh wow, that was the name. Okay, look at you.
um, when I'm obsessed with something, yeah, no, it's hard for me to forget names because I watch it 600 times and I'm like, it's engraved in here forever. Um, anyway, so she has, bitch, how many sons does she have with Harwin? She has three sons with Harwin. She has Jacaerys, Lucerys, and fucking Joffrey, bitch. That nasty ass white name. Which, first of all, Laenor named it. But also, Laenor named him Joffrey because Joffrey was his lover. And I was like, okay, well, fucking, you're just giving everybody more ammunition to say that your wife is having an affair and these are not your kids and they're not heirs to the throne. Which they are. That whole fucking debate pisses me off because they're still Targaryen. Like, they are. Rhaenyra, like, they are Targaryen. I
They
don't
have her
understand.
genes. They have her genes. They may not have the father's genes, but they have her genes.
But
But
they.
but that's the thing is because like George R. R. Martin's like history buff, like you see a lot of this like things like this shit was kind of like how it was like fucking crazy ass incest,
Drama, yeah.
fucking Kugash drama, a little illegitimate with the bastards, like all this shit that plays in. I think what House of Dragon does so well is there's so much family conflict and how they talk about like what's gonna destroy a dragon is another dragon, and it's a fighting within. Like when Viserys has this talk with his family where they're like fighting and shit, it's like we're gonna be the ones that bring us down. It's not all the other people, but we need to be as like a grounded forefront because the minute they sense weakness, you know, they come in and like fight each other. So I think that's what's so nice about it being different than like Game of Thrones, where there's so many fucking families,
Oh
so many
yeah.
alliances, that this really was like, no, this is right here, like the core family. And like it kind of gives you like a different perspective of all this, like still in the crazy ass shade of like Game of Thrones world, but more like, oh my gosh, like this is actually family. Like you think you guys would be like, let's help each other and just we be on top. But it's like, no, who the fuck is sitting on that throne really matters to us.
Yeah, no, it's fucking insane. And so, yeah, she has the three sons with Harwin, all right? And then long story short, Damon comes back. Also, Damon married Lena, who's Laenor's. See, this is what I mean. Damon marries Lena, who's Laenor's sister. Confusing. Yeah, Laenor's sister. Okay, but then she dies in childbirth. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Damon had a wife way before that, but I get that don't matter actually. I guess in the grand scheme of it all, Ray Royce, okay, was sadly murdered by Damon, but that's a story for another time, I think.
But him and Lena are like pretty cute. Like the actually, like she's so beautiful. Like, and then, but the thing is, he decides to make the choice, and unlike his brother,
Yes,
he's like, I'm not like I don't want to decide that. Like, what the fuck? And then she's like, as any
bye.
strong, like you, if you love a strong-willed fucking woman, there's many examples in this fucking show. And you see her go, you know what? Fuck all of you guys. I'm gonna make the choice myself, and I'm gonna fucking do what needs to be done.
And she literally Dracarys is her son. Like she has Vagar. That's really important on the fact that she has Vagar, who is the biggest dragon at this current moment. Vermi- Vermitor is there too, but he's underground and nobody has claimed him yet.
Yeah, we're gonna tell the dragon shit where because it's Targaryen, every child gets a fucking dragon egg.
Besides,
So everybody hopes for a dragon as a child.
besides
But
this
sometimes
whole,
they don't hatch.
which then causes fucking someone to lose an eye. But yeah, no. So she fucking has Vagar fucking Dracarys, and she dies pretty much, kills herself. Which that was an intense scene that I did not see coming at all. I was like, okay, bitch. Anyway, so yeah, she has. Why they're all laughing at me because I'm still recording this. Anyway, they're just gonna laugh at me while I continue to tell this entire fucking
We've only
synopsis.
been on here for technically. Never mind. I'm not gonna say.
We're not gonna say time. Um. Anyway, and so yeah, they're all adults now. Still, what? They're all adults in this like 10-year time jump. And so Alicent, so her sons are now a lot older. And now all the town folk and Alicent and everybody is like, well, Aegon should be the heir to the throne, who is Viserys' eldest son with Alicent. He should be on the Iron Throne because he's Viserys' son and he's the rightful heir. But then that shit don't. I'm so confused, y'all, because he literally like Viserys names Rhaenyra as his heir, so I don't understand why we are going against Viserys' words. Like, I don't understand. But then all these motherfucking council people be like, no, like, oh my god, and then when he dies, bitch, we're gonna jump because there's too much for me to actually synopsis this shit. Just watch a fucking video on YouTube, like a 30-second video. Not 30 seconds, you can't even do it in that. Watch a 5-minute synopsis video on what the fuck goes on in the show. But when Viserys fucking dies, bitch, and Alicent, first of all, the fact that this poor man looked like that, Skeletor, bitch, like decaying in his bed, and Patty's physicality and his acting in that chunk of those episodes, round of applause because holy shit, like wow. Um, yeah, so he dies, and he's basically telling the whole story of Aegon the Conqueror and like how he has his vision of the Song of Ice and Fire, which he tells to Rhaenyra when she's younger. Which is basically the story that every heir to the Iron Throne will hear, because then that ties into like Game of Thrones and all that jazz.
Which is funny because, and that's the funny thing of like knowing Game of Thrones is that prophecy is they very much think that prophecy is happening to them, which I think even in like the scriptures and stuff like that, or like even I feel like even in religious stuff of like, oh my gosh, this thing is coming. People sometimes think, oh, it's happening in my generation, and then you realize, which is funny, that like it literally the Song of Ice and Fire literally does not come until
300 years later,
a
bitch.
few seasons into Game of Thrones. So it's like it's not even happening, but these people get so, oh my gosh, it's happening now. We're living the prophecy, and it's like
No.
no. Little do you fucking know, bitch, you not even close to when this prophecy is going to occur. So it's just funny how the prophecy plays with people, and you see that bit as well in Game of Thrones of like that mystical part of like these prophecies and how people believe in them and how that affects people and what that challenges them to do, and like where they're like, no, this prophecy shit. Like there's also the prophecy with Cersei, which like technically like did not come like true, which I was like disappointed in, but that's besides the point.
But
That her brother was gonna kill her. That was a prophecy
bitch,
that they showed. Yeah, so I thought like Jamie. I thought Arya was gonna be fucking dressed as like Jamie with her skins, because I fucking love Arya Stark. She's my
oh
all-time
yeah,
fucking favorite Game of Thrones character. I thought she was gonna fucking fake and then fucking kill her. Or Jamie was gonna be like, Cersei, you're a crazy ass bitch, and then kill her as well. And then,
but no.
but no, they just went. They just hung out. Oh, sorry, you didn't watch it. So.
I also already know it's been on the internet for years, so I already have
Oh,
everything scrolled. I
good.
just need to sit and watch it all occur in front of me on my screen. Uh, okay, we're not gonna talk about. I can't get on too much of a tangent because I'm already all over the place. Um, but yeah. Anyway, Viserys dies and is telling this whole prophecy, and Alicent, which first of all, I do want to say, and Alicent's not a villain, in my opinion. with what this woman, first of all, this woman is legit a chess piece for her father throughout the entire fucking duration that we see her from a kid, a child. She's like 14, 15 when the show starts. Like, these are kids. And then being manipulated by, first of all, your own father, who is the only like parental figure you have left. Like, that's disgusting. And the fact that people are coming at like Alicent and not Otto is like really weird to me, because I'm like, this is the man that is manipulating everybody around him, and Alicent is just like a victim and all that. Yeah, okay, yeah. Sometimes you're like,
But then she
bitch,
starts getting her own footing. Like towards the end, she does
yes.
being like, "No, fuck you, dad. I'm gonna get my own footing." But the whole thing of like, literally her having to marry an old ass fucking man who was like her best friend's dad and like that, all that shit. But the thing is, like, I love, and I think Game of Thrones does such good. Like, I love Cersei Lannister, even though everyone's like she's a fucking bitch. But you knew what she was doing, and that's the same with Alicent. Is that you have these mothers who are like, "No, this is my child. I love them, like, more than anything. I'm going to do what's right." Having heard the prophecy, she believes in that it's one of her kids then who's going to, like, oh, fuck, he said something, even though, yes, he did claim, Rhaenyra, but no, like, I'm going to make this dying wish and do it. And, like, and you can tell that she's disappointed. I love when she, like, fucking grabs her fucking, like, son and, like, bitch, get your fucking shit together because I'm not working this fucking hard for y'all to be fucking shit and not do anything and be lazy and not represent what it means to be like fucking king, because you could be king one day and you need to be fucking preparing. So like it is hard because part of me wants like Rhaenyra like to be it, so like I hate that she's like getting at her, but you can't, you like a fucking determined driven woman, you can't not appreciate that of when she's like, I'm gonna fucking step up. But sometimes you're like,
Eh.
man, fucking like, yeah, so some of that shit you just like, you're like, ugh, fuck you, but
But then also that's the beauty of
they do it
the
well.
writing of it, in my opinion, especially that prophecy part where we as an audience member know that Viserys is not fucking talking about his son Aegon, that he's talking about last Aegon the Conqueror. So you're like literally in your seat, like Alice said, no, 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 don't listen to what he's saying. He's not. It's not. It's literally the definition of this is not what you think it is. Like, it's not what it looks like. Like, it's not Aegon, your son. Okay, your son is a disgusting piece of shit who should never sit the Iron Throne. He can just go jerk off on the windowsill for the rest of his life. That scene shook me too much. I was not ready for it, but I was like, okay, I guess it's Game of Thrones territory, so I guess anything can
Mm-hmm.
be possible in this show. Um, so that is the beauty of that writing right there, is where as an audience member you're like, girl, I'm gonna need you to use some context clues real quick. Even though, but then you get frustrated because she doesn't know about the prophecy, and nobody but Rhaenyra knows about the prophecy. So you're like, okay, can somebody just fucking tell her? Somebody get Rhaenyra and tell her what happened, and then Rhaenyra can be like, hey, no, that's not what happened. I just don't understand why we didn't talk.
No, that's the shit. The communication is like, oh, if people just communicated, how many problems would be solved, and like the open honesty of like, hey, where Renera could have just told Allison like, hey, this is what really happened, and this is what you thought, but like it's like everybody's like being calculated with how much truth they tell, that it's fucking biting them in the ass because nobody's being like fully truthful to be like, yo, this is what happened. Oh, okay, now I know the full story. Okay, I'm not gonna assume it's this or that, but it's because of that shit that you're like, fucking hell, like
But I'm over
people
here
ain't
stressing
saying
about
shit.
about this shit, and this shit is not even my family. And I'm like, can we all just relax?
People just get together and be happy.
Very much so like Viserys in that dinner scene where he's like, I'm so happy we're all here, and then he takes that mask off, and I'm like, bitch, put that shit back on if I'm gonna be eating food, bitch. I'm gonna need you to cover that up, my man, because I can't look at you right now. But also, I feel like the fact that that man like dies like right after that is kind of like a bittersweet type thing, because he does die with the notion that his family is like all back together again, because with the whole like line that you said before of like, the only like the House of the Dragon won't succeed if, the only thing that can break down the House of the Dragon is the house itself. And he says that very much so in the beginning of the damn show, and then you see this whole thing spiral out of control. And So the fact that his last memory of his family is all of them together in seemingly what looked like a good peaceful little dinner, but little does he know when he goes back to his room to have his last breath, um, everyone's fighting the second he walks out of that room because fucking Eamon be over here calling these little boys bastards, and it's just so much. And I think watching the intensity build from the beginning of the show, from when Rhaenyra and Alicent are younger, is really interesting because you see all the manipulation that happens with these characters, which always really fucking sucks because, like you said, they had such a great friendship with one another, um, and it was written so well. And Emily and Millie, who play the younger versions of Alicent and Rhaenyra, are fucking incredible. Also, Millie is in The Crucible, so she's doing her own thing and she looks incredible. Um, but they do such a great job that when that time jump happens, which I think is like such an incredible thing to be able to do, because I don't think Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook like had much interaction with the younger versions of themselves. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think they had enough time to like sit down with each other, like the younger versions and the older versions, to be like, hey, this is how I'm portraying her, blah blah blah. I think
Well, also because shooting wise, you think
right.
like, oh, hey, because we're on different casts. Yes, of course, like Matt's been like you are interested to see how they scheduled it to shoot. Like,
Mhm.
oh, hey, if you need to shoot this, okay, we can start shooting this episode 4 because this doesn't involve the cast it's in. Like, but it was interesting to hear that in the roundtable that MDRC said that they actually did some of like the scenes of the younger one, like that they
Mhm.
acted them. So like of course you kind of know what's being said. Of course you're getting the script and you know, but of course you don't know how like the acting,
Mhm.
but like the fluency of jumping that you didn't feel like the only confusing were some people where you're like, oh shit, that's them older, but like those two, of course, obviously like the hair and the like you knew, and then they still played it so well of like you knew they had a past, you knew that they had,
It's also like little
like
mannerisms, like physicality wise too, that like I just think it's so awesome the way that they did it and how well it like at the end product looked. It was so like seamless in my opinion. That time jump because you're like damn, okay. Also, a fucking round of applause for this fucking casting director of this fucking show because holy shit. Like when that shit side by side with younger and older came out, I literally like the way I would like inspect it. I was like, okay, obviously of course they're not the same fucking people, but like it looks so well done where it literally looks like Millie could be, Emma Darcy older or Emily with Olivia. Like I was literally mind blown. I was like, damn, this casting director needs a raise, and I want to work with her ASAP because she knows how to do her job well. Like,
but what's also crazy is that it's not like they were like, oh my gosh, we're picking these people, let's hope they do it, like, and getting it. It's like these people went through months of auditioning. So they made it to the point where, okay, you can point. And then, like, you knew, then you kind of just know it was like in, like, chose choose to sound like written in the stars that they would play because it's like, it just ended up being the perfect fit, both young and old, that it's like sometimes you don't like get that of like first of all who ends up auditioning for you and then going through it ending up being like okay you can actually like meet the requirements that we want you to and you're delivering the lines or like we can work with you to get what we want like that you're like the fact that it ended up being fucking perfect and those were like the final people because like who the fuck no you know what I mean like it wasn't like they were like with the show the movie with Blake Lively, when they were casting the younger version of her, they literally were like, we're open casting it for everyone, but we're really looking for somebody who looks like her. And we will work with whatever type of acting skills you have. But plus, if you can act and you look like Blake Lively, but they didn't do that, like, oh, well, we casted these people. You can only audition if you look like them. It's just like, fuck, you chose the best people and they actually fucking look like they could that's when you know it was right. Like that was like everything this was meant to be. This was the right cast.
it was so fucking well done, and I think about it every now and then. And I'm like, because I'm like, damn, like the stars really aligned well for all of this to fall together. But no, yeah. Also, what I find interesting, Tom, who plays Aegon, um, Viserys' son, Aegon, and then his younger actor, like the younger version of him, I forget his name. I feel really bad. That was not the first time that like they had played opposites of each other, like where he plays the older and he plays the younger. I forget what project it was on that they had were casted similar like that, and then they did it again for House of the Dragon, which I thought was like really cool. Because they do look pretty similar with each other, which I think it was in an interview or something. Or I was reading an article, and I think Tom or like somebody else like from behind it, like a casting director, had said like we also casted those two actors to play younger and older versions of one another, which I think is super cool, and it worked. Um, and but yeah, so but yeah, no, this show's a fucking roller coaster. I also now that like the actors that play Jason Luke now look, of course, older than what they did, especially Luke. First of all, Luke, that little boy, that character is like the cutest little thing ever. Uh, but the actor that plays him obviously has like grown up and like is going through puberty and like growing up. But like at a certain point, I think I always forget that like this shit takes a long time. So like when you're in production, and then how long it takes in post production, and then by the time that show comes out, it's been like 3 to 4 years, and then you see the actors and you're like, especially actors that play like younger, and then you see them now and you're like, what in the fuck? You're like, how long has it
Well,
been?
especially when you're casting them right at puberty, right before like Stranger Things, like they're literally gonna fucking, and that will like affect like growth and different like you will look fucking older. Like it's crazy like hearing when they did like how early they casted fucking Avatar Way of the Water, and how they talked about how they were like teenagers and now they're like fucking young adults
Adult.
now doing the press, and you're like, holy shit, how long have you been working on this movie? Like Boyhood, that was different because they were shooting like they wanted to see him grow up. This shit is like just James Cameron's trying to fucking shoot a movie under fucking water the whole time, so that's why we're gonna fucking have you as like this age, and then all of a sudden like, and then that's the thing is like you have to think about that, like remember we're casting, do we want to cast them at this age? Okay, but they are gonna fucking grow up, and how is that gonna affect it, you know? Because then some people do hate like yeah, where you're like, okay, they look a little too old now, like are they gonna be believable that they're this age or whatever or whatnot? Because I know some people like with Stranger Things were like, they're fucking getting old, and you're like, okay bitch, calm down, like
Like they're still young. They still pass, bitch, as like
like
teens.
but also but like you have to, depending on the show requirements, you kind of do want to cast somebody who's a young adult to play high school, because you can work them longer hours
Hmm.
than, you know, if they're a child. So it's like Glee, how everybody was not really a fucking high schooler, you know, 30 fucking years old being like, I'm a sophomore, like, and you're like, what the fuck? Or you're
You're
like,
like,
okay,
no,
what
you
school
are
is
a
this?
teacher. You're the substitute teacher, bitch. I don't know what you're doing here. But but yeah, no, but yeah, no, the whole tangent that we were on, with people like villainizing Allison. I first of all think she's such a complex character, and I think especially with that time jump when she does have her own kids, like that just shows like that motherly instinct and that motherly need to protect your kids. And yes, her fucking Egon's a piece of shit and he's disgusting, and you know, and she knows that, like she sees that too, and like there's all that shit that happens with like the maid and Egon and all that. But she still unconditionally loves her son and wants to fulfill the prophecy or the last words of Viserys, which I do fully believe that she did love him. She grew to love him, which you
Oh yeah.
see, you know, when he passes and everything. Um, and when
I mean,
Rhaenyra,
because the reason she came in is because like she had lost her mom, so she knew how to deal with grief of somebody that you loved and was close to. So in a way, like he was there to comfort her, and then realizing like, oh, my dad wants him to comfort me because then he'll be like, wow,
Let's get
what if
married.
I were to marry you? Like, wow, what a thought that would be. And then she's like, fuck my life, but I guess I'm gonna make the most of it.
Like you feel
And
so like at least I do. Like you feel so bad for her because that poor girl like had literally no choice in her life at all whatsoever from like a young age. Like I feel like Otto had known exactly what he wanted to do from like day one, and he was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do to get this and do what I want to get whoever I want on the Iron Throne. There's a lot of backstabbing and a lot of secrecy and a lot of talking behind people's backs in the show, um, which is fucking annoying sometimes because you're like, but also like really well written, where you're like, okay, yeah, there people would do that.
no, the co-showrunner, like, and now, like, and then the fact that we're like the one who was like more the director, co-showrunner is like left and it's not for season 2, but the one who writes, he's fucking good. He knows his shit. Like, that was a good choice for him. Like, he knows it. Like, when you would watch the behind the scenes and how much he knew of the story and appreciate what exactly he wanted to tell, it was like, okay, yes, you, like, no wonder George R. R. Martin was like, go ahead, like, I believe in you, because he fucking knows what he's doing and what they want to tell, so it's in good hands, which is good.
Yeah,
Like you have to be a good, but like Game of Thrones is known for its writing, like book and script, so it's like you kind of have to step up and and show. And then
but I just
yeah, but I'm excited to continue this story. It's a good ass show.
it's great. I'll
That's the point of this fucking long ass tangent, just to say what. Watch the fucking show if you have Max.
Also, I will say, the hate that Olivia Cook got because of Allison, I was like, really? All I'm like, why? I'm like, can we not? I don't understand how people cannot, in their minds, separate an actor from what the fuck their job is, which is portraying a fucking character, and then the character that they fucking play. They're not the same person. I think Olivia Cook is incredible, and that's it. No hate to anybody, please. Even Otto Hightower actor, I forget your name. Um, no hate to him either, bitch.
Yeah, he's good.
Like it's the character, bitch. These people don't exist. But the
She didn't
actor,
choose the words she's
but
saying either, or how
right.
she's at, her what her character does. And like that's why, like, I think press ups is like, I don't relate to my character, I would fucking not do that move or whatever. But Olivia Cook's so good, and then
Ugh.
you forget how chameleon she is in her acting. Like, you forget that she was in The Sound of Metal, and like, you forget
And Ready
that
Player
was the
One and
same
all these
fucking
other fucking
person.
movies that you're like,
Like, she's one of those people, and maybe because it's like, like that she was the dying girl, like in Earl, in the, I think I'm forgetting a name in there, and the dying girl, like that you forget, because she has like that indie like background, that foundation, that like she's one of those actors that you kind of are like, that is Olivia Cook, but she like just like disappears in her role, that you're like, oh fuck, that is the same
absolutely.
person. Like, and she's so good at doing that. Like, I started watching an Apple TV series because we love Apple TV series. Just kidding, Apple TV. If you want some ideas, I have some pitches for you. But they um, like high horse, something horse. But it's like a spy thing, which sounding like I really like spy shit. I mean, if it's a good one, I do. But she's in it, and I was more like, you know what, I might watch it just for her. Did I continue? No, I watched it like last year on the plane when I was running out of stuff to watch. I was like, it wasn't bad, it was good, but it was like British, like spies, and it had I'm so upset with myself. His name. He plays my fave, Sirius Black. Why is his name like
Oh, Michael Oatman.
Gary
Gary
Oldman?
Oldman.
Michael. I knew it was a G, and I was like, why is my brain? I
Why did
know it's
I
on the
say
tip of my tongue.
Michael? Gary Oldman.
But Gary
Michael.
Oldman, it's in it, and I was like, okay, but I was like, Olivia Cook, that's who had me after House of Dragon. I was like, maybe I need Olivia Cook fix. Let me see,
No,
and
yeah,
I didn't get far.
but no, she's great. I have a lot of other thoughts on this whole fucking grudge that Aemond has because he fucking lost his eye. First of all, well, you were gonna. You were attacking these other little kids, and then Luke just so happened to have the blade and fucking cut your eye out. Which also then on the flip side, you're like, yeah, I would be pissed too. Like if someone took my eye, bitch, and then would laugh and make fun of it, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get my dragon to eat you in the sky. Which that shit, like I had to pause it, bitch, because the way that they do, like the way that they had done it, and Luke gets up into the sky, and you're like, oh, coast is clear, bitch, and then that fucking camera goes, pew, and then chomp, bitch, goodbye. I literally had to sit for like 2 minutes for still, and then played it, and then that fucking final scene is incredible. Like I will talk about that final shot for the rest of my life. So good, no dialogue. All you see is fucking Damon come in and fucking give the news to her, and Emma Darcy's physicality in those last like 30 seconds is incredible, and I cannot wait to see Rhaenyra burn everybody down and kill everyone because an eye for an eye, bitch. Also, I think
100%.
season two, I it might not be a real leak of the episode list, but Blood and Cheese I think is episode 2 or 3, and that if you don't know what Blood and Cheese is, bitch, that shit is intense, and you're like, I'm not ready for it. So if that's episode 2, bitch, I need to like take 16 shots of alcohol before I watch that episode because I'm not ready for that intense ass shit that's gonna happen in that episode. But then also the rest of season 2, because season 2 is like gonna be the end of the Dance of the Dragons, where all this shit happens and who sits the Iron Throne at the end of it, which I won't spoil for people who don't know and aren't don't want to spoil. Like, is that the end of season 2? Then what are we gonna? Then what's gonna be season 3, bitch?
Yeah, I would like to know how many seasons they want for this show. Because then you kind of think, because like we said, like it starts with time jumps in season 1, so it's like, are we gonna then like, now that we've gotten to like the really intense shit, are we gonna still time jump shit, or are we gonna take our sweet ass time? Because Game of Thrones was known for taking its sweet ass time to build up shit, and there was like no time jumps.
Right.
Everything was happening concurrently, and like, this started us with like, okay, boom, we're kind of slow, a little few months, and then, now that we're here, are we going to take our time and really, because two seasons always is weird. It's more like a British thing to have like 2 seasons of a
Mhm.
show. So you're like 2 seasons, like that's it. Like 3 seasons is like, oh, that's solid. Like let's do
Mhm.
like
Or
that's, I
even
don't know,
4.
three,
Yeah.
yeah, or 5. I mean, 5 is like typical, like, but then you think like, okay, if there's so much of a story, what do you want? Because we just want this to end well, even though you do know the ending. It's true, with Game of Thrones, nobody knew what was
Mhm.
gonna happen at the end, which was nice, because then every book reader, non-book reader was like, what the fuck are they gonna do? And they went to where everyone was like,
What the
fuck,
fuck?
that's what you did. But like, so it's true, the ending, so they, in a way, they can't really like fuck it up, you
Mhm.
know but
Unless they
you
decide
still
to
hope that it
change
just,
shit.
but I don't know. I don't think
But
they
also,
don't
like,
think they're
you
gonna.
can't change shit because also it's gonna change the
It
trajectory
fucks
of
up
Game of
the shit.
Thrones.
Yeah.
So, like, anyway, long rant short. Go stream House of the Dragon on Max. Also, let me tell you, with Max, when it's like, shh, and it does that thing, and then
The best fucking opening of a
the
production
only time
company
I
ever. Yeah.
ever, like, the only thing I will ever think about, every time I hear that, I'm like my brain is wired to think like Game of Thrones theme is gonna start every without fail, bitch. I know I'm not watching Game of Thrones, but when I hear that shh, I just am like always ready for the Game of Thrones theme to kick in, bitch, because it's so
Did you ever?
ingrained.
Did you ever see the promo that HBO did, where they had everybody that was like HBO original? So you had like Amelia Clark as Daenerys, you had John Oliver, and they all were like, ah, they were doing like the
Uh huh.
and they made it like that for like a few years back of it.
Oh, I
I
never
don't know
saw
why I'm
that.
saying this, but it was a good little like intro doing it. But and then supposedly we're getting a fucking Jon Snow.
Yeah.
I'm not that into fucking Kit Harington. Beautiful, Beautiful,
Incredible.
darling
I
man. Oh my gosh. Great
incredible
looking
man.
man. Jon Snow. Oh, yes, please.
But I
But
don't care enough to
I
have
don't
him
give a fuck what he's doing beyond the wall because I was watching what he was doing beyond the wall already, and I sometimes was like,
skip binge.
either fucking Getaway Walker or whatever the fuck. I'm like, the person I would be cool to fucking follow is like fucking Arya and
Me
just
too.
seeing her fucking kill people, bitch, because I'm here for a story of revenge. I love a story of revenge. So it's like,
Sweeney Todd.
yeah, I'm here for that. Oh, damn it. I'm just kidding. We're
Sweeney.
not going to start with the.
No, because then it's gonna stick in my head for the rest of the night. But yeah, that's gonna bitch wrap up this long ass episode. We're gonna see what I'm gonna cut out.
And we were like, we have nothing to say. But also, we just, this preface, this episode was a catch up. So, yeah. So it was 2 weeks worth of random ass shit that we really didn't even discuss a lot of topics. So maybe one day we'll split shit in half. You don't have to consume it all in one sitting. But
for now.
if you wanna voice your opinion, then comment, because by now it's just us two crackheads thinking we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing because no one has complained yet. So
All right. That's gonna be the end of today's episode. Go watch House of the Dragon. It's incredible. All the actors are amazing. Every legit aspect of it, the cinematography, the editing, the sound, the costumes, the hair, the wigs, bitch. Incredible. Story, amazing. Writing, impeccable. Chef's kiss.
the dim effect of like no lighting.
The dark ass beach scene, bitch, and you're like, I literally can't. I'm gonna turn the brightness up on my TV and I still can't see shit. But I'm gonna
Mm-mm.
hear and read this tiny ass fucking Valerian subtitle font in yellow. Anyway, I'm gonna be done ranting about that.
Yes,
Um,
please watch The Crowded Room so I can go insane with you as we watch it weekly. If you want, watch Class of '09. It's only 8 hours of your time. So,
only eight
and
hours.
you know me, I always have to tell you how many hours you're gonna waste if you want to know something. So, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the end. This is literally the end of the episode.
This is
Bye. Let us
it.
let us know what other topics you want us to discuss in the next episode. Uh, yeah, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.